Look there on the Juju's been threshed. Cannot defend her. I cannot believe.
It's got to be the game.
I can let the final.
Mickey Well gets in behind him, trying to turn it his radius wave onto everyone. Triple kill for Reindeer and Mickey Well, last man standing. It's a slugfest. Double kill, triple kill, double kill, quadra kill, double kill, triple kill. My God, that was amazing.
Hooks on, Big Swift has gone mega, but they killed us apart. Can't connect the chain, and Destiny, Hook is on. Swiffer is dead, Ray locked down Rays. Trippies gets that kill, and Spurs is stuck between the entire Wolfpack. Double kill for Fantix, they're running towards the Nexus.
Hello and welcome back, Oceanic Pro League fans. This is the first day of the OPL 2018 and we're getting a look right now at the defending champions, the Direwolves, as they get ready to do battle. Of course, now the Chiefs also on the other side of the rift. That's going to be Game 1 Grand Final rematch. This is, of course, OPL Week 1 brought to you by Hungry Jacks. Hello, I am Jake Spawn Tiberi, and joining me on the casting desk for the first time is a man that needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. This, of course, is Bryce Ejim Paul. He is a 5-time representative of Oceania. He's won it with Legacy. He's won it with the Chiefs 3 separate times. Quite possibly the best man to ever buy a Sightstone for the Oceanic Pro League. Bryce, how you doing?
I'm flattered on it. I haven't heard that intro yet. That was just thrust on me there. Thank you. It's a big day for me, I think. First season of the OPL that I haven't played in, but happy to be here with you guys behind the caster desk. With you, of course, Jake. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm really happy to be here as well. And, of course, the OPL is going to look a little bit different this year, guys. We've got a new graphics pack. We've got some new teams. And we've got a big new sponsor. Hungry Jacks is now on board. They're going to be sponsoring the league itself as a naming partner. They've got the player photos covered, all your live replays, plus a couple of money can't buy experiences will be coming your way. And the tipping package. This is huge news for the Oceanic Pro League.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a name on board like that just represents so much for the region. Oceania, small region in the scheme of esports across the world, but we're trying to make it up there, and it's things like these that help so much.
Yeah, it certainly is. But let's dive straight into today's actions as we bring up the schedule. It is going to be that grand final rematch as a new look Direwolves take on old foes, the Chiefs Esports Club, before two new organizations will take to Summoner's Rift as Order takes on Tectonic. Of course, the OPL action continues tomorrow as Sin will take on Legacy. And then the Bombers, the newest big name in esports, will take off against Avant Gaming. Such a hype matchup to round out the week. However, we do have to get into this Game 1. Bryce, it's the OPL final rematch. You're a part of it, but these teams look very different.
Yeah, absolutely very different. You see on the lineups here as they come up on your screen, we have Cupcake and Triple representing the Direwolves, the two new faces there, and then Chiefs. No Chiefs without Spooks and Swiffer here. We still have Rays, we still have Big Swift Swiper in the top lane, but definitely different rosters here facing off. Grand final rematch, big game.
But it still has to be noted that these two teams, two legacy organizations, still come into the OPL as arguably favorites for the split.
Arguably?
They just have so much star power still available to them.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be very interesting to see how this game plays out. First game of the season here has repercussions that could potentially be felt by these teams later on in the season. Of course, these two only face off against each other in this week 1. And as you said, favorites potentially to take out the whole league sort of thing. When you get to the gauntlet phase of the league there, the points matter so much. This head-to-head, big deal.
Yeah, it certainly is. However, before we break this game down any further, let's throw it over to Sarah-Ann, who's at the Analyst Hangout with a familiar face.
Thanks, Jake. I'm here with Carbon, who's here to break down every game today with information that might help you on the Rift. Carbon, how's it going?
Doing well. Excited for a new year of OPL. Like Bryce, this is the first one I haven't participated in, but keen to see what everybody can do.
So you used to be the jungler for Legacy, but now you've retired, so what have you been up to these days?
I'm now the head of esports at the Adelaide Football Club, working behind the scenes at Legacy, sort of like an OS Reggie. Gave away the keyboard, and now I'm hoping that the people replace me can maybe finally win one.
Doing lots of work behind the scenes. But before we jump into our predictions, if you've ever wanted to play video games in high school, this is your chance. High School League of Legends Cups have been popping up all around Oceania, with students competing in inter-school esports tournaments. Clubs focus on fundamental values like resilience, respect and teamwork, but must be run by a teacher. So have a chat with your favourite teacher today, or head to oce.leaguehighschool.com for more information. Now, Carbon, before we jump into this first match, I want to grab your prediction on who you think is going to take it out.
Tough one to call. Both very good sides, I think. A lot of new faces, and I think at full strength, I think this would have been an extremely close game. I think it's going to be close regardless, but yeah, a bit tougher to call. I think Schön not playing is going to be a big loss for the Direwolves. Likewise, Rays has been a great player for the Chiefs in the last year or so. So having Fantix play off-roll 80 carry is going to be interesting. I still give the edge to the Chiefs. I think 2-1, but I think yeah, seeing how those subs play is going to play a huge part.
I'm on the same page as you. I think it's going to be tough, but I am giving it to the Chiefs 2-1. But if you would like to make your own predictions, make sure you head on over to opltips.com.au. We've got some tasty prizes up for grabs, such as $25, $50 and $100 Hungry Jacks vouchers if you place in the top 150 or 25 tippers each split. There's also some XP and RP prizes available, but for all the information, head over to opltips.com.au and click on prizes. Thank you so much for your prediction, Carbon. But to get this show on the road, let's hand it back to Bryce and Spawn.
Thanks, Laura. As we take a look at this, before we get into this game, I actually want to break down a couple of the new orgs. We've got the Bombers coming in. We'll chat about them a little bit more tomorrow, but we're going to see two new orgs today in Tectonic and Order. What do you make of these guys?
Yeah, second game of the day, obviously Order versus Tectonic, the new renamed TM Gaming there. The team from New Zealand here, the only team in the Oceanic region to have majority players from over in Kiwiland over there. They are definitely looking to ramp up towards this. They have a very young roster towards the end of the season, I think. I'm excited to see how they do.
And on the other side of the coin, I mean, Regicide recently acquired by Order. They're a team that has acquired a lot of old faces within the Oceanic Pro League and, you know, have been floated as potentially a super team.
Yeah, absolutely. They are a super team. They have so much star power, and it's actually pretty interesting how they took a 7th place team in Regicide, came in, Order, rebranded, and then they have top players. You have Spooks and Swiffer from the Chiefs, you have Tally from Legacy, and then obviously very renowned bot lane and FBI and Rogue. Potentially, arguably, some people would say the best bot lane in the league. So they took a 7th place team to possibly being a front runner for the league, and then it's just, I think, honestly, they accounted for most of the roster changes we saw for the 2018 season.
However, internationally, we have seen that super teams haven't necessarily worked out. KT Rollstar over in Korea is one of the most recent examples, not even making it to the World Finals next year, so we'll have to track those teams throughout the season. However, we are ready to get into this game one, so let's take a look at the Direwolves lineup as we bring it up onto your screen. It's going to be Chippies up there in the top lane. Prayless will be the starting jungler, as Schön has been rubbed out for 2 weeks. Triple is their newly acquired mid lane to try and take over from the MVP Fantix there. King and Cupcake make up the new bottom lane, but Sharp is still their coach and still will be calling the shots. And this is still an incredibly potent lineup as we take a look at their opponents. It's going to be the Chiefs today.
It is the Chiefs Esports Club. This is my turn here, my old team here. In the top lane, you do have Big Swips, the Armor Titan, the only man in Oceania, as Carbon likes to say, to be able to give himself a nickname here, and he's given himself two. In the top lane, that is Swiper, but Bip, jungling for the team here, coming over from Legacy, Ryoma from Sin, new to the lineup on the Chiefs. Fantix, actually the coach for the team here, subbing in as AD carry, and then Destiny, another Direwolves player, switching over to the Chiefs here for rounding out that bottom lane.
And you will notice that there is no coach for the Chiefs today. That is because Richard Su Fantix will be their coach, retired after winning MVP, going to Worlds for the team, going over to the Chiefs now. And interestingly enough, I mean, this is Fantix Destiny versus their old lineup. There's got to be a little bit of a grudge down there in the bottom lane, Bryce.
I mean, absolutely. There's grudge between the orgs, of course, Chiefs being mega successful, and then 2017 Direwolves with the pickup of Guinevere Capital, took them to Korea and then just stomped the league, honestly, for last year. And so coming in, grand finals rematch, so much head-to-head pressure here. And then you have, Fantix and Destiny in the bottom lane, laning against Calvin, King, and Cupcake. You have to think between, obviously, Fantix has been on the team with King before. There's going to be a bit of a rivalry there. Who do you think is going to take it out?
I mean, when you have a look at these teams on paper, they are so incredibly close. I just think that for me, Schön means so much to this lineup. I think with the acquisition of Guinevere Capital and the Korean boot camps, the one thing that really stood out to me was what Schön did to this team. He was able to secure 3 very solid lanes, and I don't think any other jungler really has been able to show that across the map in Oceania. So I think that, you know, with Schön missing out today, Prayless has to step up to make this a competitive match.
Yeah, and Carbon kind of mentioned it on the Analyst Hangout there that I think, and I agree with him, that despite Rays, I've played with him, very good player for the Chiefs, but I just think Schönfire potentially not better, but more reliant upon by the Direwolves. They rely on him to do so much work for them. He was the pinnacle for their success there. And then Chiefs, you have Fantix, MVP in the league, subbing in. Although he's not an AD carry, he plays the Jhin, obviously plays the Cork. He played it all last split.
So what is it about Shern's jungle matchup that makes it look so different? What does he do to the map that makes it so it just changes what the Direwolves do?
Yeah, I think jungle and support are the two weakest roles across the region and have been for such a long time. So he obviously brought across a ton of experience with his time in NA and then time in Korea. And he's just so aggressive comparatively to the other junglers in the region. You have the likes of Spooks, namely, largely aggressive jungler, but then as you go down the ladder, a lot of people seem to fail to apply the necessary pressure on the map. And with his pathing, with his picks, notably for the Graves, Kha'Zix's very good on those sort of champions, but then on the flip side can play a really mean Zac and engage for his team. He's just so versatile, and that's where I think he finds his success. But as you said, Praelis on your screens right now, subbing in instead of him.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll see whether Praelis rookie can step up in this game as we have bans coming through. Looks like Ornn and Azir have been taken away from the by the Direwolves, and Ezreal will join, while Shen and Malzahar have been taken away from the Chiefs, and we're still waiting on that last ban.
Yeah, you expect it to be the Kalista. It'll be interesting to see if the OPL teams here subscribe to the Book of Korea there, although Ornn has already been banned. You see that coming through to the second pick phase for the most part, and LCK being, with the LPL, one of the only regions we've seen so far, but Sejuani is actually the ban here.
Yeah, and we're taking a look at AD carry and just having a look at those two S-tier picks in Ezreal and Kalista. I think they're 100% and 92% present so far in all competitive games. However, not opting into it instead, Bryce, they pick up the Kog'Maw.
Kog'Maw, obviously hyper-scaling AD carry in this hyper-scaling Relic Shield. Incredibly boring bot lane meta where everyone's got tons of sustain. We do see the Braum and the Jarvan locked in on the other side, but you don't see them pick up the Kalista. It'll be interesting to see if the Chiefs take that one in their next rotation, but...
Yeah, you don't really have to pick it up now. I mean, just because they've already locked in their AD carry, unless they get real funky, and I mean, Triple wants to run around on an AP Cog, which he doesn't because they've just locked in. They haven't yet, but they will lock in Rise.
Can go top, we've seen it.
Yeah, it can go top, that's true. We've seen 2 games, I think, so far played. I think that, you know, taking away the Braum, taking away the Jarvan, 2 of the most potent in their role at the moment, just gives some flexibility to the Chiefs.
Yeah, 100%. Jarvan, the other big jungler there, obviously, as Sejuani did hit the deck. So they do lock into Cassio. So Kalista, I have to assume, by Direwolves, is going to be 100% banned away here. Cassio in that matchup, obviously Rise has a bit of gank pressure, depending on the jungle they pick with that root, but should be able to bully him around a little bit.
I mean, Cassiopeia right now isn't a champion we've seen a heck of a lot overseas. However, with Presence of Mind, does have pretty much infinite mana now, which was one of her big problems at level 2. We'll see whether they can get any success from what was an old school counter pick with the Rise changes, did outrange, but now Gangplank as well as Tristana banned away.
Yeah.
So no respect being given right now to the Kalista. Camille will join the bench right now, and if this isn't a Kalista ban, I will go he. This is an absolute bizarre move from the Direwolves. They must have something planned.
We did. I mean, it is Fantix, right? So he's obviously not an AD carry here, but he can... Varus. Okay. So there's no Jhin, because that's the one I was going to go to. Fantix Jhin, out of all the AD carries he can play, I think that despite not being the best in the meta right now, he would just be looking for comfort. Very used to competitive games, but not from this role, so...
But the thing about Kalista, and you used to say this all the time as a support player, I don't even really care what my AD carry does with Kalista, as long as they pick me up and toss me in.
Yeah. What? Twitch?
All right.
Okay.
Thoughts?
I mean, very greedy, I guess. I'm not really sure. The Kog'Maw Twitch matchup, Kog'Maw will have the pressure. Taric into Braum, good matchup as well. But I do think that Chiefs overall will just be trying to hide their bot lane this game. They do have Ryoma on a very potent carry, and they are leaving the counter pick for the Armor Titan big swips here. So it'll be interesting to see what they pick up for there, as the Gnar is on the other side.
Yeah, and Chippy's taking away Swiper's Gnar, something that Swiper had great success with last split. We've seen some counter picks come up for Gnar, namely Cho'Gath plus ganking jungler was seen a lot in the LPL, so we'll see whether something like that does get brought across.
We've seen something like the Vlad and even the Lucian as well early this split, so it just seems that everything is up in the air. With the runes reforged, it just seems like if you log into a game of League of Legends nowadays and you don't know what runes you should take, just take the unsealed spellbook and you'll be fine. Everyone's running around. 80 carries are TPing back to lane as Big Swips. He's gone back to the old faithful first game of the OPL, and he's locked in the Maokai.
He's just locked in the big tree.
Yep.
So
Give
in
them
the
the
end,
clap.
as we go down the lineups, it's going to be Direwolves taking Na, Kha'Zix, Rise, Kog'Maw, as well as Taric, and they're going up against a Maokai, a Jarvan, Cassiopeia, Twitch, and Braum. A very tanky lineup coming out from the Chiefs, and not that much AD damage, apart from maybe the Kha'Zix, really, on the Direwolves lineup.
And I mean, Kha'Zix is not just good at killing tanks. He just doesn't do it. He wants to get onto the squishies, wants to be one-shotting people. Kog'Maw obviously does heavy AP damage, but does have that shred available to him there. So interesting to see how this goes later into the game. Chiefs, obviously with that big beefy front line, will have so much ease playing around objectives, playing around the Baron there. But I do think the Direwolves should have the pressure in the laning phase. They do have the Na there. They do have the Kog'Maw, Taric in the bottom lane, should be pushing.
And so much of the Direwolves' success last year came from top side of the map, especially being able to push, get vision, and just completely disregard enemy jungles. Do you think they have the matchups to do that?
I think so, potentially here. But the caveat to that is that was domestically, because we did see them when they went overseas, went to Worlds. Now Destiny is on the side of Chiefs, but King and Destiny, when they went over to Worlds, were the lane that was most successful. Chippies was having a really rough time, and you look at Direwolves to be that top side team with Shern, with Chippies, and with Fantix, but then they just relied along their bottom lane to do so much work for them. So potentially, with Prayless in the mix here, it might switch things up.
Yeah, it certainly could. And if there ever was a game to attack the bottom side of the map, it would be against a substitute AD carry. So we'll see whether King does want to take it to his old mid laner down there in the bottom lane. Once again, getting a look at Prayless on your screen as the teams are loading onto Summoner's Rift. Triple as well, someone we haven't really talked about much, but we are onto Summoner's Rift for Game 1 of the OPL 2018 season. It's going to be the Direwolves taking on the Chiefs. And we get just the fan out here. Not much aggression going to come across. Let's talk about Triple a lot, because I've heard some big things during the off-season that Triple is the best upcoming mid laner, that, you know, he's going to prove a lot of people wrong, that he wasn't the sole carrier of Avant just because of the resource situation, that he really was one of the best players. Is that your take on it?
I mean, I think...
Is he overrated?
I think... I don't think he's necessarily overrated, but I think there's a lot of people that do overrate him, if that makes sense. It's so easy to just look at this struggling, I guess, AV lineup and say he was the only thing good on that team. He was carrying them upwards so strongly. So it is very easy to overrate a player like Triple, but in saying that, he is very good. He can contest with the best in the region. This will be his first game here with the Direwolves, and he does have a substitute jungler, and I think that is where I want to touch on the most. Because if you look at Chiefs' lineup this year, you have a veteran in Swiper, a veteran in Destiny. Ryoma's done so much work in the Gauntlets for Sin. Fantix obviously coming in here as a sub, but veteran of the scene as well. And Babip, often known as Baby Bip to some people, comes in here with a real lack of experience.
Yeah, he did play at Oranger last year for Queensland. Split time with, I believe, Sybil in the jungle there a little bit. And then he also played at ESL's tournament at the end of the year. However, both were not really all that serious tournaments. In fact, I think we had Carbon running around on support in one of them.
Jana in my game. Get him out. Get him out.
So we'll see how Babip goes. The team has really helped him out here. Strong level 1 coming out of Braum, utilised to invade that buff there, Bryce.
Yeah, potentially looking to be a 3 buff here as he just waltzes through the mid lane. Shows his face as we expected here. Ryoma on the Cassio just shoving in the Rise early. But yeah, Prayless, obviously on the other side of the coin here, as the substitute coming in, not much experience on his side as well. He's played in the OCS. He has a little bit here and there, but I don't think he is the jungler in the OPL to be able to expose Babip here. And that's the big downfall of the Direwolves in this game right here in my eyes. And that's going to be super interesting to see if he can play it that way.
Yeah, Kha'Zix, of course, one of the best single camp clearers in the game, has gone from his blue to Gromp to a Scuttle Crab. However, looks like the junglers are going to clash for the first time in River. Babip doesn't get there in time. Prayless takes the Scuttle Crab, secures some good topside vision.
I do want to take a short second here as we do a little bit of a count. We only have one unsealed spellbook on the likes of Rise here, and we've got 5 stopwatches, so 50% of the players opting in there to those oh crap buttons. I need to get out of here.
I mean, for Rise, it's just such a good... It gives you a free gank escape pretty much at level 6 with your 100%. Ultimate layer, Realm Warp. What are your thoughts? Haven't got any supports running it this game, unsealed spellbook. Do you like it? Do you not like it?
I mean, it's definitely interesting. I think the big thing is not even the supports, but the AD carries. That came out of Korea, obviously very greedy meta. You saw, I think it was Bang pick it up on the Sivir the first time, and then he just pushes the wave in, plays super safe, because obviously there's just so much to sustain in the bottom lane right now. You see on the both sides, relic shields
Double
on both
relic
AD
shields,
carries and supports. Nobody's going to get through that. You have almost very little damage and only all-in potential from these melee supports, from the Braum, from the Taric. So these lanes with the hyperscaling AD carry is going to be fairly safe, and yeah.
And both the junglers have a go in button, but not a go out button, which means that if you do not blow up the AD carry,
You're dead. So,
you die as a jungler.
Yep.
10 out of 10 times right now. So we'll see whether Babip and Praelis get down there early to try and affect it. But already, we see Fantix,
with the lead.
the CS lead. And whoa, Triple going a little bit low there in the middle lane.
Potentially just going to look to get a recall there, use his spellbook, change to TP, come back, won't miss too much farm. He will have enough gold for his tier, so...
Big question here is, can Ryoma actually kill that cannon creep, or can the teleport come through beforehand?
Just going to right-click it. Oh, we got it just, and the TP hasn't even challenged. Is he going to use it?
Did he just
Did he
accidentally
just
heal
Oh
in
my god,
base?
he did. No, triple. Oh, he didn't change his summoner, and he actually just popped the heal in base. It gives him a little bit of a move speed boost.
You're an optimist. That has actually potentially cost Triple the laning phase there, Bryce. Should have been back for that cannon. Now we'll miss the whole wave against the turret. Checking across the rest of the map. Swiper doing a good job. Stun does come out in bottom lane.
Not much is going to be done there. Pretty safe. Can't get through the Braum. He was just going for a cheeky ward in try, but as you said, yes, Swiper holding his own, not getting bullied too much by the Gnar here, but that matchup does get worse as time goes on for the most part. Maokai does have a lot of push pressure in the early lanes. He can throw the saplings, can throw the Q smashes on the wave, and be able to hold his own fairly easily.
You can see that Swiper actually caught sight of Praelis up there in the top lane, who didn't go for the gank, was already behind in farm and experience, so just wanted to play it safe, go back to his Gromp camp, and you can see now Ryoma hard zoning Triple in what is a pushing wave.
That's going to be rough, and both junglers were just on vision there. And
a bit of a stun coming out here. Twitch, Braum door does go up, and it's going to be Cupcake that actually takes some return damage. Meanwhile, Swiper has to flash. Chippies went mega. Not even level 6, and just says, get the heck out of my lane.
Yeah, that's going to hurt for him there. The gank potential coming out of that going to be so much lower now, and you do have the likes of the Kha'Zix. Once he pops to level 6, once he can sneak into that top lane, going to be able to do so much damage, but it's interesting, as this nice little trade from Ryoma, just going to keep punishing the mid lane. Triple is going to be kicking himself with that heal.
Yeah, time and time again now, Ryoma is just really rubbing salt into that wound. I mean,
at what point do you switch? Do you just go, okay, I don't need my flash, I just need to get back to the lane and I can play super safe? Is that even up for debate? Is that something you consider?
I mean, potentially with ultimate as well as the stopwatch there.
Yeah, you have stopwatch. So
that could have been a viable strategy. I'll pay it.
Potentially. They might want to be looking for the kill, I guess. They do have the flash route, guaranteed CC, and then the Kha'Zix.
There's also a cleanse on the other side.
Yeah.
And Cassiopeia's turn at 6
very good.
has always been pretty potent.
You can dodge it, though. Fairly successful. At the pro level, you can just turn around. I can trivialize and be like, yeah, just turn around, it's fine.
How do you turn around? All right.
You just right-click. What do you mean?
No, like, as we have a little bit of a gank set up, is it that's what I was going to say. Is it the noise cue or is it the actual visual cue?
I think somebody's going to roast me on Twitter if this is actually wrong, but I believe humans can react quicker to like audio stimulus as opposed to visual. So you hear the like screaming of Cassiopeia and then you can right-click behind you. And also, as a pro player, they've played thousands of games against the Cassio here, so you can kind of gauge when it's coming roughly, and then you can kind of predict it with the help of the noise.
Okay, we'll see whether Triple and Praelis are able to do that. Bryce has really just put them on the spot there, because if they don't, going to be some serious flame coming out on Twitter, I'm sure. Ryoma one more time, just dominating this lane. He is now 20 CS up, and we have not seen junglers at all. This is just all off an early game mistake. Meanwhile, checking with the rest of the CS scores right now, fairly even across the board, except for maybe Big Swips having an advantage in that top lane. No teleport burnt from Chippies yet.
Yeah, he hasn't based, obviously. He's just trying to get himself a little bit of a freeze here.
Mate, he's based. He has a phage. You don't start with that item.
Sorry, he hasn't TP'd. He's absolutely based. I thought he was on, mate. I've just seen too much on. You know, he just bought it from lane. As, Ryoma looking for a bit of a reset here. They do give the blue over to Triple. And we have seen a fairly slow start to this game. And I guess first game of the OPL, I say that, and they're going for a gank.
Praelis is actually going in for a gank here. No flash. As you mentioned, W, their stopwatch will come out. First blood potentially going to be picked up as they both flash forward. And now Babip's in trouble. Does pick up Praelis. However, will ultimately... No, he won't fall down. He has the stopwatch as well. And Chippies is in trouble. Everyone will just back away. Triple's here. That's why he was doing it. Just nice and slow play here from the Direwolves. And they will end up giving that kill over to Triple. Very well played.
Well played there. Chippies, I thought he could have got that kill there. And potentially Babip was looking for the Q out of the Zhonya's. Really clutch stopwatches coming from both junglers there. Praelis obviously dodging the knockup coming in from the Jarvan, but as we saw before, that flash burn from Swiper just led to that gank. Prayless just literally walked in, jumped on his head. Chippy slowing him down with the boomerang, so rough time there as they do trade 2 for 1.
Yeah, and as we take a look at the jungler's items, Triple has a double buff and a kill, but hasn't really been able to do all that much.
CS.
We see a green smite versus a red smite. Thoughts on red smite in the current meta?
Does a lot of damage. Does a lot of damage, and obviously Prayless doesn't want to do a lot of damage. He has gone Warrior, but does opt in for the green smite. Babip, yes, go for the red. He did just get that kill there, so potentially looking for a bit of a snowball.
Going to see an AD Jarvan at this point coming out as well. Of course, you can build Jarvan pretty tanky with Cinderhulk, or you can just go that full AD route with Warrior and potentially a Duskblade.
Yeah, you do see the full tank Cinderhulk coming out mostly in solo tank comps. And as we mentioned, just after Champ Select, you do have the Maokai, the Jarvan, the Braum. They have a very beefy side, so Jarvan can opt in for a greedier build path here. You can make that decision on the fly. So obviously with the kill he just picked up and the red smite, he's leaning towards that one as he could see him here. 1v1.
Ooh, Prayless actually goes in and Babip has to get out, of course, with this R-Evolve Kha'Zix. It is so hard to track him around the map, able to sneak into that jungle.
Absolutely. The sub coming in for Schönfire, doing some work here, bullying around Babip as he just trots off to his bottom side jungle. And this mid lane is only getting worse for here. 3 the CS lead. Can he turn this one?
Can't actually get in, and you can see they are just so scared of Ryoma at the moment. He's up 30 CS right now, Bryson. Of course, that miasma means that you can't jump in on top of it.
Not to mention, when the junglers 1v1 around that Wraith camp, they did see Babip go bot side, so didn't want to face check the river fight.
Big engage down bottom as we see Fantix actually falling low. Will not have anything come of this on. They're both just going to heal up with their relic shield.
Just give them 30 seconds. They'll be full HP. They're chilling. They do have a lot of boots here coming out. The free ass boots, as a lot of the casters overseas like to call them here. Another engage coming on. Triple on the wrong side of the map.
Yeah, certainly is. However, Rise is a pretty quick runner. We'll be able to just I mean, what can you really say about that? He just zooms.
He's just zooming. He's just chilling. He's got his free ass boots. He's zooming away. Got his tier. Got his catalyst. So pretty slow game coming out of both teams here. Prayless looking to solo the Infernal Drake, so that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, actually, with all of this vision control, and that's why I wanted to talk about Green Smite. You can see a couple of pinks drop down on the map as well. Scuttle Crabs have been secured all game by Prayless. That will give him a free Infernal with something like a Kog'Maw Rise composition, who both are hyper-scaling carries. Will be pretty big deal in the late game.
And that's honestly just all on him in the jungle matchup. Forcing Babip out. Ryoma has so much pressure in this 1v1 matchup, but just based on the timing of that find of Babip in the jungle, works his way bot side, gets a vision, gets the Scuttle Crab, and despite Triple not having control of this lane, get themselves an Infernal Drake. Yeah,
and as we probably should take a little bit of a look at the gold, because my gut feeling here is that everyone but Triple has an advantage right now, as a little bit of a gank actually comes from Babip. Not going to work there. And as you can see, everyone on Direwolves kind of ahead of their opponent by a couple of hundred. Actually, they're not really. It's just a jungle matchup and versus a mid lane matchup at the moment.
Yeah, interesting there. We did see that failed gank, just doing the flyby, you know, EQ. Oh, that didn't land. Let's just go off into the top side as Ryoma just looking for the punish here. He's just playing ahead of the minion wave, juking in and out, wants to deny as much of this CS as possible. That 30 CS lead we talked about has gone up to 40 now, and every time he lands the Q, he's just going to step up, just going to hit him with the fangs, and just going to keep doing it until the Direwolves can get Triple out of this situation.
So whose job is it to save this lane? Is it Prayless's job? Is it Cupcake's job? Does Chippies need to get down? Do they just, like, you know, break lanes ASAP, get into the 1-3-1? I mean, how do they help out the new mid laner of the Direwolves right now?
I think we hold that thought right now as Destiny's looking for a bit of an engage. But Babip's coming from the top side. Fantix coming from bottom. Are they going to go into Cupcake? Yep.
Yeah, they certainly are. They saw the Kha'Zix go over the wall, and straight away Cupcake has to flash. However, he will be stunned up here. One auto attack from Twitch. He uses the ultimate. I think that is a bad call because he's going to fall down anyway, and that is first blood picked up for the Chiefs.
Really nice, patient
like 4 kills.
Play. That is not first
top
blood.
Lane.
What
top
do you
lane.
mean?
What am I talking about?
You're a mess, dude. But that was nice, really nice patient play coming out of Destiny there. He saw Cupcake and Prayless walking around, waited for Prayless to jump over the wall, and that's his trigger. That's his go. He just walks up, Cupcake, nothing he can do. Burns the ulti, burns the flash. 5-minute and almost a 3-minute cooldown on his ulti, respectively there. That's a big deal.
I want to call out something in the bottom lane and get your thoughts on this. We have a Face of the Mountain picked up before a Sightstone.
Yep.
And we have upgraded Targons plus tier picked up on Cupcake.
We've seen both those things. We've seen tier on Tarek pre-Sightstone and LCK. I do forget the name of the player that has done it, and we have seen the face of the mountain straight up. So the thought process is, I think, in these bot lanes, look at what they've done this game. What have they done? They just sat bot. Besides from that fight just there, they've literally sat in lane, farming up. The AD carries have relic shields, and that doesn't give you gold unless you're hitting minions next to another person, and you're proccing that proc every single time. So they just want to stay in these lanes. They just want to farm up as the course of the game goes on, so they don't need that vision super early to walk around the map and be placing. Yeah,
we also see Bissell Mars picked up for triple to try and survive this lane a little bit better. Has been more standard on Rise.
Yep.
As well as the Morale and Omicron picked up fairly early for Ryoma, so not going double tier item here with an Abyssal Mask of his own. See how that works out in the mid lane. I feel like that's a pretty aggressive build for Ryoma and what's been a pretty passive game so far.
Passive, but he does have the control. As they are looking for something in the bot side right now. They do find King. No vision in the bush.
Certainly do. Stun will come out. That'll tie up Ryoma. However, King's just in big trouble. He will get picked up. They give the kill over to the mid laner. And let's just talk our way through this one because Cupcake, you're going absolutely nowhere. You're going to fall down. And that's going to be the Chiefs absolutely smashing the direwolves.
And that's the punish from earlier where he burnt his ulti, burned his flash. Had no flash to get out of that one. He would have been absolutely fine if he could get out of the Cataclysm, but just unable there. King dies, doesn't burn his flash, but Cupcake unfortunately couldn't get out.
Yeah, and you see right now that the only play left on the map is try and cut off Ryoma in this mid lane. However, Babit doing the right thing, shadowing him up. So they give him access. He's going the greediest way possible. And at this stage of the game, Rise is the one that wants to be roaming. Cassiopeia is generally just a sit and farm kind of champion, but Ryoma just beating triple everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about beating lane opponents there. We did see that fight up in the top lane early, but Chippy's really, with that gank, with those 2 assists he's got, he's worked half of the damage away from the turret there, but in this Nar vs Maokai matchup, hasn't really done too much. Big Swift has done a really nice job. He's giving him the turret
within the turret range, and now Chippy's does have to kite away. Summon Airy going to be very useful with those hyper procs, and you can see that Praelis is up in the top lane first, so this should go the Direwolves' favor.
But despite that being a nice individual player out of the Armored Titan there, Big Swift's in the top lane, he knocked the Gnar into the turret, but because his jungler is just reset on the bot side of the map, Trailus is up hanging around the lane.
And he
traded
Rise.
His health with the Gnar there, and here comes Rise, here comes the Kha'Zix.
Yeah, this is going to be a 3-man dive, and there is just absolutely nothing Swiper can really do. Mega about to come out as well. You see they Gnar him out there. Praelis will pick up the kill, and that should be first turret as well. Direwolves hit back on the top side of the map, so kind of splitting here. With Chiefs very much trying to give Fantix a hand, whilst Chippy's going to be relied on to have a big presence on this map.
And that was just exactly what I was talking about. Direwolves find the play perfectly, play the dive really patiently. Swiper uses the ulti early, lets the roots hit them, and then just take him down anyway. Take the turret. That will be first brick to the Direwolves as they cement themselves a tiny bit of a gold lead here, 600.
Should be tied up as the Chiefs are currently on that bottom lane turret. Looks like they're going to try and bounce this wave for Swiper, see what the deploy is. Actually, they continue to push it out. So Dragon play is up in 20 seconds. Is that the reason why?
Yeah, potentially that. Is it another Infernal Drake? So potentially 2 of them on the table here if Direwolves can get some pressure back on the top side. You'd think Chippy's, he does have that TP advantage again here. So potentially looking for a play. They deploy him top side as he's just walking out mid now because the wave is so pushed in. Chiefs are looking to start this one up, but Direwolves will have 5 members.
They certainly will, and they bring down Swiper straight away. Teleport not available. And that means the Direwolves is just going to have to give that one up. Chiefs very quick to that.
Yep.
Not going for a reset after the turret.
They just don't have the vision. They can't push out the mid lane without any help from Praelis. Chippies was walking there, but because Chiefs were already on the bot side of the map, they took down that turret, and Direwolves had to do the reset. Chiefs had access to the vision earlier. They just started up, can't get there in time.
Credit to Triple. He stemmed the bleeding in the mid lane. He's still down about 35 CS, but at one stage it looked like it was really going to get out of hand.
Great job by him there. As both AD carries,
flash forward actually. That's going to be the ultimate landing on 2 people. That just should not happen in the OPL. They also missed a stun there, and Ryoma 1v3 somehow lives.
That was clutch. The ulti lands on 2, barely, narrowly escapes the flash out of Cupcake there, slightly too late. That's a big commit for the Direwolves to get absolutely nothing, only the flash. And he still had the cleanse available.
I was about to say, I don't even know if he should have flashed. He had the cleanse available. Potentially could have just walked that one out. Or, I mean, slithered. What does Cassiopeia do?
Doesn't have boots, so I don't know. She just slides away, I guess. But yeah, you said has the cleanse. The damage from Rise and Kha'Zix, look, Tarek's not going to do anything by himself. The damage was stunned, so...
Tarek attacks real quick.
Yeah, he does, in melee range.
Yeah.
But that was going to be a range stun on the end of the Dazzle. That's like, what, 300 units?
Yeah. Not
Ballpark?
Not doing much. I just was... I was watching a game the other day, and I was just watching Tarek hit stuff. I was like, he actually attacks, like, real quick.
Yeah, and to go deeper into that attack, it's based on his passive, right? So you use the spell, and then your next 2 autos refund the cooldown of your spells. So the reason Tarek has gone for a tier here is because he just chews mana when he's in a fight. You stun someone, auto-auto, W, auto-auto, Q, auto-auto, and you're just doing that on rotation, and you're just chewing through your mana so fast as the Rift Herald is started up by the Chiefs here. But so the tier, effectively, just the same reason you see it on the likes of Sona. These supports just want to be spamming their abilities in team fights, and they chew through the mana, and this is going to be free.
Certainly is. You can see the Chiefs back-to-back neutral objectives, not really playing towards their lane, but trying to get in the river as much as possible.
Tiny little fun fact: the Chiefs have what have they done? They've given the Rift Herald to the jungler.
Oh, have they?
Oh no, Babip, he's
Pressure is on.
Yeah.
We've seen this go poorly before. Potentially the reason for Babip over Spooks at the moment.
Yeah, maybe that was the call right there. You just can't use Rift Herald. I don't know. Maybe cheap Spooks can't use Rift Herald, but Auto Spooks can use it. Is that what we're looking for?
I have absolutely no idea.
We'll find out at 5 PM.
Ryoma one more time hits 2 members with it, and that is going to be the turnaround. Ryoma is absolutely going crazy. Maybe shouldn't take that fight against Triple, but still will pick up a 1-for-2 kill.
And that's 2 times he's hit both the members so quick on
What's
that
happening?
ultimate. They should have sized it. Actually, no. In Praelis' defense there, he was dashing in. He was committed. He's hard committing on that play, and just, I don't know. I guess you don't dash in early enough, or... Like, I don't know what he can do there. If he's dashing onto the Cassiopeia, you're going to get ulted in the face every single time. The Rise needs to be able to lead this one, but because he's behind in the lane, because Ryoma now has 3 kills, would have had 2 at the time, he just has the pressure in that matchup, and these ganks just seem futile almost.
Yeah, certainly do. One thing I do want to point out is Kha'Zix at the moment has one of the best mid-lane ganks after level 6, because he can get to any portion of the lane with out of brush plus ultimate movement. However, the problem with that is the Chiefs have just controlled mid lane. So he's not been able to get wards down. He can't get access to those brushes. That's why he's dashing in, and that's why it looks a little bit silly, because they're just forcing what is a losing matchup.
Yeah, 100%. You can see the pink ward in that bush below mid, so you would have seen him coming there. As this side lane matchup still, Maokai versus Na, fairly even, and we haven't seen much out of Chippies this game, I guess. It is because Daiwas are losing, as hold that thought.
Yeah, Triple in a little bit of trouble. Will use the get out of jail free card right there. Picked it up when he passed go or something like that. I don't know how Monopoly really works. But a nice gank from Fantix and Destiny to burn that. And off the back end, they will rift. It will go through, and the ultimate will come out. This means that Triple's in big trouble. I wanted to meme there, and they just killed the poor guy. Let me have my fun. But the first successful Rift Herald of the year has gone down for the Chiefs.
Great job. Give OPL a clap. Let's go, boys. Hell yeah. That's going to be the turret in the mid lane. Such an important thing here for the Chiefs, as they are looking at the Baron. A lot of pings. They have the Cassio, and the Twitch has Bork, so both of them going to do so much damage to this Baron.
It is in vision, and it is very early in the game. You're talking about a full AD Jarv, and potentially Destiny can tank it up. However, they are behind it, and they will look for the steal. Preyler's going to go over in the stealth, potentially. Has been spotted out.
Nice.
He's been grounded. He's over. He didn't get it, and that's going to be Babbitt picking it up. Preylis will fall down, and the Chiefs will get the Baron.
Such a quick call coming out of the Chiefs there. The ulti from Ryoma does miss, but he saves it with the miasma. But in the end, Preylis finds his way off the grounding effect there, gets in, but can't pick up the steal in that 1v1 jungler off, and he does fall down to the back end of that. Did have to burn his flash as well. So this game is just going from bad to worse for the Direwolves.
I love being a top laner when I know I can't fight the other top laner, but my team gets me Baron, and I know the other top laner isn't strong enough to fight the super creeps. Because I'm just like, come at me, bro. My super creeps will do all the work for me. If you take a look at this replay.
Yeah, we see this one again. There's no way that the Direwolves will be able to fight this one. As you see, Cogmore's in the base, so there's just going to be a numbers mismatch. The ward goes over on the side here. In a second, you're going to see Ryoma try and stun up the Kha'Zix, but he does go invisible. Dodge that one. Miasma lands, but he gets off the top. Oh, that was smited to 30 health by Preylis. So unlucky there.
Actually, incredibly impressed by Preylis so far this game.
Yeah.
I think that after the punish from the Chiefs on that invade, did a pretty good job of recovering it. Babip is having a stellar performance as well, but for a substitute for Shern, big shoes to fill. I think the Preylis has done very serviceable so far.
Definitely, absolutely agree with him there, and his lanes have been losing. especially in the mid lane. You talk about... Hold that thought.
Chippy's in a little bit of trouble. Does get a stun onto Ryoma there.
Darvin.
Babip goes in. Will burn it and flash now onto Praelis, just complimenting him, and he gets dunked.
The hard commit for the Chiefs. That was the Cataclysm burnt as well. Don't know about that one, but Swiper is going to reset here. He does have the TP. They might just look for the dive on this inner turret here, on this inhib turret rather, but they don't. They're backing off. Another Infernal Drake has spawned, so we do have to touch on that one. That's the first 3 dragons of the OPL, all fire.
A little bit RNG base there. We did no script, promise. Absolutely no script for the triple Infernal Drake for the first game. However, 2 of them will be picked up by the Chiefs Esports Club. And I'm starting to get excited now. Ryoma and Babip as a duo are looking very much in sync for this game. 4-1-2 for the new jungler. 6 out of 8 kills. 6 out of 8 kills for Ryoma as well. And I think the 2 Babip hasn't been a part of have been the 2 that Tommy has got solo.
Yep. Great play out of them as the Chiefs are just looking for a bit of a reset here. They do still have a tiny bit of time left on that Baron, and there's so much standing gold left up on the map. They have that outer turret in the top lane that Direwolves aren't going to defend. That's just free.
Yeah, it certainly is. You can see that right now Swiper is on that turret. What is the window now for the Direwolves? Is it turtle up? You know, try and slow the map down? Is it split pushing? Can they 1-3-1? What are they looking at right now?
I think the advantage for the Direwolves right now is they do have decent hold under the turret. Taric is very hard to dive, of course. If they get that Cosmic Radiance onto the Kog'Maw, I mean, he does damage, and he takes very little damage with this build. He hasn't gone super aggressive with it. He's got the Gwynsues, he's got the Wit's End, so a ton of MR coming out. And so his Fantix will be able to do a lot of damage to him, but very safe against Ryoma and the and Swiper on the Maokai there. But 2 members for the Direwolves just sitting mid lane. They're just sleeping behind the wheel here.
Yeah, they're a little bit in trouble because they've sent Nada split push and then Kog'Maw was trying to push up mid lane. So they go for the dive because it was not there. TP will be cancelled because it was onto a dying turret. And now they're just in trouble. Ultimate will come out. Cupcake in the front line. But there is no damage coming out of the Direwolves right now. And Ryoma is flashing forward. Triple looking to potentially fall down. Finally, Chippies gets here. But they're just still going on the other side of the map. King gets dunked. Just 2v1. That's not fair. In the end, it will be Destiny falling down. And a return kill over as Praelis picked up Babip, but it is a 2-for-2 trade, and the Chiefs just rip open the Direwolves base.
Grand final rematch, game 1, and the Chiefs are having a bit of fun here. They're just diving the Nexus, they don't care. Diving the 2 turrets to get onto King. Finally take him out, and I do want to note that was Destiny, so he's got a bit of revenge there. Destiny versus King, he knows he wants him bad, he wanted him dead. Dives the Nexus as our Chiefs do break open the base, and I have to think the communication is a bit lacking for the Direwolves there. 2 members didn't base in time from the mid lane. The TP comes through, is kind of split. Do they want to defend? Do they want to give it up?
Well, this was a big question. You lose Fantix. You lose Destiny. You lose Shern. I don't know how much you guys at home know about Chippies and King, but for me, not the most vocal members of that team. So who is actually calling the shots right now? And honestly, it doesn't look like many people are.
Yeah, I mean, it lends itself, like the role of shot calling lends itself most to the jungle. I think they have most access towards the map in the early game, and then late game you see it shift over to supports a little bit of the time. But a substitute coming through, is he going to shot call for your team? Surely not. It must be rough here for the Direwolves, and this is why I was saying I think the Direwolves are so reliant on Shern.
And whilst you're a little bit washed up and retired now,
yeah.
Are you a fan of one-person shot calling? Are you a fan of the general carbon form of shot calling? Are you a form of the community shot calling?
I don't think the singular shot caller is actually a thing nowadays. So many people have...
I actually don't think Carbon even singly shot called in the end of his career. I just like to throw shade. Go for it, though.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much of a thing. I think a lot of people have input over the decisions. You might have one member who's like, okay, this person's going to decide at the end of the day if we've all got different ideas. Swipe is like dive top, and then Destiny's like dive bot. Babip might have the final say over that one, but have to learn more about how these teams progress throughout the split with their new rosters to find out. As Direwolves just looking to hold on to any structures they can. That's a huge wave pushing in the top side of the map.
I mean, is that why you were so excited about Destiny to the Chiefs? Because they had lost a vocal member in Spooks and picked up an inexperienced jungler in Babip?
Yeah, 100%. Coming in this year with the Chiefs, I think they have a very young lineup. With the exception of Swiper there, he's an old fart like me, unfortunately, but he's not traditionally a leader. I feel like he's been stepping up to the plate as time goes on, but especially on my era of Chiefs, with you had Spooks, Swiffer, me, and myself and Spooks were the most vocal members, and he was more of just a serviceable top laner that would do what the team needs him to do. He's always played the tanks when we needed to, when the Chiefs has needed him to. So it'd be interesting to see if he has stepped up to that plate for the Chiefs here, or if Destiny assumes control. Yeah.
Have to track that as it goes on. Let's take a look at the items, because Ryoma has picked himself up a Death Cap. He has a fully stacked Dark Seal. He's got himself a Transform Seraphs.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Monster. Fantix at the same time. No armor really apart from Tabby's being picked up, so he said, I'm just going to build attack speed and crit item.
Don't need Last Whisper.
Is there any breakpoints that you can see on the Direwolves that means the turnabout is about to come through?
I mean, I don't think it's down to item breakpoints at this point. I think it's about defending this Baron. I don't think... Are they going to contest it? It's a risky call here. The top lane is semi-shoved out, but Chiefs have time. They don't need to rush this one. They can prepare the Baron. They've got a lot of pinks around here.
If there's ever a time to fight, it's when you've got double GA.
Yeah.
I mean, don't... Oh, they've actually flashed forward. They want it, and all of a sudden, Braum just puts up the door and says, thanks for the flash, mate. We'll successfully disengage, and now the Baron can be started up with the Swiper Teleport, and one of the big engage tools is gone.
Went for the clutch play there. It doesn't really pay off. They are still contesting here. Direwolves on the left side.
Yeah, you can see Flash Twisted Advance straight away. It will be a Taric out onto 3 members, so we'll see whether they can turn it. Chippies misses everyone with the Gnar ultimate, and all of a sudden he's in big trouble. Dunk goes out onto Cupcake, and that is going to be 1 member in GA, 1 member fallen, and the Chiefs picking up the Baron, and they're just going to look to stream towards the base.
So unfortunate coming out there. Prayless, I don't think, did a single point of damage. Maybe his W landed on a few people there. He was just on the right-hand side with King, healing to try and get away here. Swiper doesn't have the Righteous Glory available. No flash. We saw him use it. So they don't get more picks, but Chiefs are just looking to steamroll down mid.
Yeah, they certainly are. You can see already the minions are on the Nexus turret, so the Chiefs just say, we'll take this one for free. In fact, 1 falls down, and they will just turn onto the second inhibitor of the game. Pings already onto the Super Creeps to give them Baron, and the Chiefs are just going to march this one into the base. 3 seconds on Cupcake. He will be up and available, but the Chiefs are just going to go for a cheeky dive. I think this is an overstay, although Prayless does get popped down to his GA. Cupcake's going to fall one more time, and they just continue to fight. Hit the Nexus turret, boys. You can win the game right now. Swiper still just being a brick wall, and they can't. They get forced out. One more time, the Chiefs, I mean, is it having fun at this point?
Yeah,
is it just pure disrespect?
Pure disrespect. I mean, in their position, that is having fun, right? That's exactly what you want. Destiny's sitting there like, come on, guys, like, I'm going to win. I'm going to get the victory here. As they do agree. There was only 1 Nexus turret available there when they pushed in, and they didn't even get that one. They just want to kill him. They're just farming KDA.
They had a wave prepared earlier. They had another wave that they had walked in, and instead they just went straight towards the fountain. Cupcake, unfortunately, has died for his 5th time.
Yep. Looking pretty rough there. And obviously the tier for the Taric there makes him slightly squishier than where he would like to be.
Slightly squishier?
So, yeah, slightly squishier.
I mean, he's 700 gold squishier.
Well, yeah, but what's 700 gold? That's a...
1.5. No, 1 3/4.
It's like almost a chain vest. Yeah.
Trust me, against Ryoma right now, I'm not going chain vest.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely
I'm going no magic
but
man.
it does damage. Fantix, substitute coming in for the Chiefs here, actually the coach, and I guess a few people would have been interested to see how he performs this game. And
I mean, was it really ever in doubt?
I mean, he's not an 80 carry.
I am a bigger Fantix fan than most people in the world.
Bias,
but was anyone ever really in doubt whether Richard could still play the game?
No, absolutely not. I think he was. He's the first player in Challenger on Oceania.
Yeah,
he got tweeted last night. Absolutely. So he's been grinding away. He's currently higher elo as the coach than every player on his team. Some would say maybe Ryoma is not even the best mid laner on the Chiefs. I don't know.
I don't think that's an insult. Normally when you say things like that, that's just a little bit cheeky now.
Yeah.
But he has publicly said that he no longer wants to play, and he wants to give all that knowledge that he's able to accrue through grinding out solo queue to Ryoma, as you said. Locket's pop.
Yeah, no, that was the Locket there.
Fantix going in very deep, unloads actually, and just chunks out Prayless. He might actually pick up King there. Doesn't have flash, uses a stopwatch, that's a little bit too late. He's going to get popped, and now poor Cupcake, I just feel like I'm saying it over and over again, has died one more time, and the Chiefs are just waiting for the creep waves. They're going to be able to escort it into the base price, and finally it looks like it's going to be the game.
And that was just another split defense. There is such a 10k gold lead, so big coming out of the Chiefs, so you don't expect Direwolves to hold this one, but Chippies wasn't even there. They're diving again.
They still won't hit the damn Nexus.
Where's he going?
Uses Zhonya's, gets out of there. The Chiefs will pick up the game finally. It was a 33-minute victory in Game 1 of the OPL. And after, you know, a back and forward early game, you'd have to say through the mid lane, the Chiefs just took over.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to think about that point where Triple burnt the heel. Was almost the swing point.
Yep.
That he was losing the matchup, but that's expected at that point in time. Wants to base, wants to get his tier, and then he starts gaining some pressure. But burnt the heel and base, no TP, loses the wave.
And the big thing is the reason you lose the matchup is because you aggressively step up to the wave to push out, knowing that you can use your health as the resource or whatever people want to say, and get that greedy shot in. However, burning the heel really did cost him there. Want to take a look at other bright points of the map. Fantix plus Destiny. Pretty good duo lane.
Very good. I guess the caveat to that is that the bot lane meta is not very volatile right now. If this is the meta where Fantix is stepping in, it might just potentially be the easiest. You're not running around with Kalista Thresh.
Miss Fortune is a viable pick.
Is she?
I mean, she's been played.
Where?
There we go. I would say that throwing the solo queue memes aside, I have seen Miss Fortune a lot more in today's meta than any other meta previously as an AD carry. Comet makes it very good in lane. We've seen Emax, we've seen Qmax.
And I guess the sport meta also kind of lends itself to that. You do have the Engage coming out, Shen, Ali, those guys going into a team fight, then the...
Gangplank is a viable pick. They could have made it a volatile bottom side of the map if they wanted to. They decided not to. They went the farm off. They went with Coldmore, Tarek. They actually priority picked both of them in the first round of rotation. So you'd have to say, is that the right call against a substitute?
I mean, maybe not. And we'll see in the next games. They obviously lost that one pretty hard there. See if they do switch it up later onto the series. So... I don't know. We'll see.
Meanwhile, in the top side of the map, you have to talk about Swiper. He was able to really stand tall in what was a couple of 3v1 dives, and in the end was just a brick wall.
Yeah, he was a brick wall, and that's all he needed to be. Chippies did have the advantage. He had the TP advantage twice in that matchup, 1v1, where Swiper had to TP back to lane, but did nothing with it. The Direwolves weren't able to set up a play for him to get down into the bottom side, potentially break open that bottom side of the map like we were saying, and... yeah, he just felt like a non-factor in the result of that game. Found a bit of an advantage early, but it just led to nothing.
Yeah, and Nah always been a good split pusher, but great Nars can make him work in team fights as well. Unfortunately, Chippy's not able to get it done. Checking in with our two rookies, the players that we wanted to watch. Babip versus Praelis. Both actually pretty solid starts.
Yeah, I agree. Babip coming into it, we thought questionable, potentially on the lineup of Chiefs, least experience there. And then I didn't think Praelis was going to be able to match him up to the plate. Very little experience coming in there, but found him in the jungle a few times. Nice ward in to catch him out in the 1v1. Chunked him out, and that led to their first Infernal Drake and was possibly the strongest point in the game for the Direwolves there. And then just went downhill from there as a Cassiopeia kind of took over.
Well, that's all from us for the Des for Game 1. But to run it under a little bit more of a microscope, let's throw it over to Laura and Carbon.
Thanks, Jake. I'm back here with Carbon, and we're going to spend the next few minutes talking about something specific from that game. Now, let's talk about Unsealed Spellbook, because we saw Triple running it in the mid lane.
Yep. Yeah. So Unsealed Spellbook is one of the new runes. It's you're seeing it a lot internationally and in solo queue. The strength of Unsealed Spellbook is that you can take a laning summoner and then switch into teleport. Now, they touched on the desk a little bit there, but what you can do is you can trade your health. And because you have a combat summoner, like heal or some top laners take ignite, because you have a combat summoner, it's difficult for the enemy to all it. Like they can't really punish you for trading your health, and that's what we saw Triple do. And it happens a lot with Rise. You play very far up in the lane. You just push the lane ASAP to try and get your tier. Then you take a base and you can switch to TP. Unfortunately, Triple has accidentally hit heal before being able to switch to TP. And what that meant is he could change to TP anyway, but it would be on the heal cooldown. And so he took a poor trade, based, got his tier, wanted to come back to lane, couldn't, missed a cannon wave, fell down in XP to Ryoma, and never really recovered. Within 5 minutes, he was 30 CS down. Ryoma just completely took over the map. Yeah, it's just an example of a new change in the game, a new rune which is really strong, and fat fingers.
And you were saying that it opened up the mid lane to Ryoma. But if you were in Triple's shoes, what would have you done to try and win the lane back?
I think he did everything he could have, really. I mean, he roamed top a few times, used his ultimate to kill Maokai. I think he got a pick on Babip as well when Babip went top lane. So I think all things considered, he recovered as well as he could have. But yeah, you know, at the top level, it's the 1%ers that count.
Is there any specific champions or lanes that you would recommend running Unsealed Spellbook? Because as you said, it is something that we're seeing across multiple regions and in solo queue at the moment.
Yeah, I think anything that has a good early buy, Unsealed Spellbook is really good on. Things like tier champs, where you can just sort of almost like suicide push. You're just pushing the lane, ignoring the fact that you're losing trades, and then base, TP, get your tier, and come back to lane. I think it's also good on champs that maybe lose matchups in the top lane, where you can take Ignite. Like Riven stands out to me because I've been playing her in solo queue. But champs that can take Ignite and then switch to TP after you put the pressure on early. So I think yeah, it's particularly good in the solo lanes. We have seen it on Sivir a little bit, where again you sort of suicide push, you trade your health to push the waves in, and then you can switch to TP, come back straight away.
You were saying a bit earlier on before the show that you've been playing Riven in the jungle. Would you ever take it on her in the jungle, or is that just a bit too ridiculous?
You can. I mean, I wouldn't play I wouldn't play Riven jungle in the first place. Really, like that's not advice. Please don't do that. Kids, don't try this at home. But like you could, like you can take like I think what I really like in jungle is like exhaust smite. So you don't have the flash, but you can sort of just like run into lane, exhaust, force their flash. And either kill them the first time or kill them the second time, and then switch your exhaust to flash. But no, I wouldn't really suggest taking Unsealed Spellbook on any jungler.
Are there any runes that you recommend running with Unsealed Spellbook?
Oh, well, obviously Stopwatch is really strong. Free Boots is really strong. And then Cosmic Insight, which gives you the 5% bonus cooldown, and you get 5% at the start of the game as well as the Summoner Spell cooldown. So I think that's a really strong one too.
We saw Triple changing it quite a few times in that game. I think he took Teleport, and then he went to Ghost as well for, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's one of the strengths, is that throughout the game you can constantly switch to whatever the game requires. Rise is really strong with Ghost when you get that extra mobility. You know, Exhaust is a good one for like 1v1 potential, or heal if you're getting dove a lot. TP if you want to split push, you know what I mean? So Unsealed Spellbook, there's just a lot of options, which is what makes it good. Runes that give you options are extremely strong, especially in competitive play.
And you were saying that it's really popular on Sivir at the moment. Are there any tips you'd give for people at home that are looking to run it on her?
Yeah, it's not like we've seen it. It's not super. It's not, you know, Sivir's not actually that strong, so it's not super popular. But we have seen it. If you're going to play Spellbook Sivir, it's sort of just. I think it's you want to push ASAP to get your Relic Shield upgrade. And then you base, you take TP, you TP back with the Relic Shield upgrade, and you can basically stay in lane forever because you'd have so much sustain and you wave clear so quickly. If
you're going against someone that is taking that rune, what advice could you give them going up against them? Is it just being wary that they might be able to surprise you at any moment?
I mean, yes, like expect them to TP back to lane is the big thing, but also just keep in mind that they don't actually have a combat like rune. Right, so if you have, I don't know, Fleet Footwork, or you have Press the Attack, or literally any combat rune, just keep in mind that your base damage will be higher. But yeah, they're looking to take bad trades in order to TP back to lane.
Well, thank you for your insight, Carbon. But don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back with Game 2 of the Direwolves and Chiefs after a break and these highlights.
Actually going in for a gank here. No flash, as you mentioned. W, their Stopwatch will come out. First blood potentially going to be picked up as they both flash forward. And now Babip's in trouble. Does pick up Praelis. We'll find out at 5 p.m. Ryoma one more time, hits two members with it, and that is going to be the turnaround. Ryoma is absolutely going crazy, and they will look for this steal. Praelis going to go over in the stealth potentially, has been spotted out. Nice. He's been grounded, he's over, he didn't get it, and that's going to be Babip picking it up. Praelis will fall down, and the Chiefs will get the Baron. Chippies misses everyone with a Gnar ultimate, and all of a sudden he's in big trouble. Dunk goes out onto Cupcake, and that is going to be one member in GA, one member fallen, and the Chiefs picking up the Baron, and they're just going to look to stream towards the best.
There is such a 10k gold lead, so big coming out of Chiefs, so you don't expect Direwolves to hold this one, but Chippies wasn't even there. They're diving again.
They still won't hit the damn Nexus. Triple uses Zhonya's, gets out of there. The Chiefs will pick up the game finally. It was a 33-minute victory in Game 1 of the OPL.